welcome to Drag Reduction Sisters. We're back again. This week we're talking about Baku and Canada, and you've got me, Rachel, with an Arshee. I think we're all very excited, and I think this one is going to be a special one because Arshee was at the Canada Grand Prix. So we get a little bit of a different point of view this week. All right, Let's get into it. General thoughts?
God, what even happened? I feel like it was a very eventful couple of weeks. Yeah. Lots of drama that we'll get into, lots of problems in the sense of cars not working or breaking or crashing, etc., etc. Yeah. Lots of things going on. Stopping unexpectedly, just the list goes on.
I think there was a lot of off-track drama as well the last 2 weeks. I mean, we could say the last 2 months-ish, but the last 2 weeks really just amped up. The off-track drama it was like a whole TMZ episode for F1. Like, whew.
Yeah, I feel like whenever the drama amplifies off-track, it always amplifies on-track too.
Oh, yeah.
That's evident by these past 2 races. I feel like so much happened, and I'm ready to go. So let's start with the drama, shall we? Drama for Baku. Both the Ferraris. That was not good. I did not enjoy watching them fail. That was not fun for me.
Like, both cars. How severely does your car have to be beat up for both of your cars to DNF?
I don't know, but then you also have to remember that the 2 other Ferrari engines, Kevin Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu, they both DNF'd too because of their engine.
Wouldn't it be fun to have, like, more car manufacturers in Formula One versus just, like, a couple of engine suppliers? Right now, there's Mercedes, there's Ferrari, and Renault. Red Bull's just, like, doing their own powertrain thing. So, I mean, if we had... I don't know, if each team had their own engine manufacturer, it would just be a lot more interesting because then, as an audience, it will be a lot more unexpected and a lot more entertaining to watch these races because you can't say, oh, this team and this team, they have the same engine supplier. So if one goes out, you're just sitting there like, oh, the other one's going to go out. But when you have more manufacturers, there's more to play. I just feel like it'll be more exciting.
I don't know. I love the drama of it all. So I think if you had 10 different engine providers, that's drama right there. And I think it would be fun to watch. As an American, I'm not opposed to having like an American car manufacturer enter the chat, just because I think it would be fun, especially if since they are trying to like branch into America more, with the 3 races next year, and potentially an American team in the future. I think it would be fun. I would love it.
It would be interesting if an American manufacturer came in to one of the underperforming teams. I don't know how really that works, but if they helped to develop a car that was maybe underperforming.
I mean, it's not like it's unheard of for an American car manufacturer to supply an engine for something that races, i.e. NASCAR.
Porpoising ruined Lewis's back. If you watched the terrible porpoising at Baku, basically Lewis was bouncing the majority of the race, probably, and quite severely.
He was moving up and down, side to side.
Not even side to side, just up and down explosively and severely. And I think Mercedes did admit at the end that they were really pushing the car, and ultimately their driver a little bit too much. And at the end of the race, you could hear Toto on the radio saying, like, Lewis, we're sorry for your back, or something like that. Because it was so bad. He was in so much pain, he could hardly even get out of the car. It was really terrible.
I saw the pictures of him. I, watched the footage and, saw pictures of him getting out. I feel so bad for his back. Him specifically, but also his back. He's got to already be in pain by the time he gets in the car, and then by the time he gets out, it's worse. I can't even imagine that. On top of trying to race this car and push it to its limit, you also have to contend with actually being in physical pain.
And that's kind of what brought the FIA to announce the new measures they're planning on putting in place is for exactly that reason. They're saying, the drivers need their full concentration when they're doing this, and any excessive fatigue or pain could be affecting their concentration. So it's exactly that.
I was just going to say, I'm just a little confused why it took them so long to something, because we've been seeing this since testing, right?
Yes, we are now 10 races in. It's
you know why it took them so long?
Nothing's come around.
It's because it's a group of old, white, rich men. It takes them a very long time to do anything that doesn't directly concern them. It's not them breaking their backs. They're just like, we'll go along with it.
I don't know. I hate that it has to get to a point where they're like, yes, we have to intervene. Like, clearly something is not working here, and you can see it, and we can all see it. I know that, like, it's especially bad when they do those helmet cams. I'm like, I would have a headache in 5 minutes. I don't know how these men are doing it for an hour and a half to 2 hours. I don't know how they're doing it.
Can someone clarify one thing for me, though? It's the disagreement going on between Toto, Binotto, and Horner and the FIA, like, regarding porpoising. So what exactly are each of their thoughts, and why are they disagreeing? I just read the news and I was reading through the articles, but none of them say exactly what was said and who's on which side. It just says that they're disagreeing, but, like, what are the actual points of disagreement? Do any of you know that, or am I just as lost as everyone else?
I don't know any specific points. I'm sure that we'll hear next week when they're all have cameras in their faces again, right? I'm sure somebody's going to be like, this is why I think. Unless I've just missed it. Do you know, Liv?
No, I haven't really been keeping up with it.
Okay.
I think they're all coming at it from, like, different angles, so that may be what it is.
We might also find out, like, next season of DTS, because apparently Netflix was in the room when Toto and Binotto and Christian Horner were fighting. Or not fighting. I guess Horner called Toto an actor, or insinuated that Toto's an actor.
Wasn't it Christian who did it on DTS last season, or was it Toto? One of them called the other an entertainer, or, like, a mask.
Oh, Toto, yeah. I think Toto said something like Christian talks too much, or...
Oh, yeah.
No, he just said, he's like, Christian just talks too much. He doesn't know when to shut up. Something along those lines, but, like, in very refined European way. Not as brash as I'm saying it right now, but that was the message.
I really, really love that they used duct tape on Yuki's car. I loved it. I was living for it. At first when he came in, I was like, oh no, they're going to have to retire him. I fully thought they were retiring his car. And then that dude runs out with the duct tape and just, like, starts going to town. I love it. Love it. Very much something I would do. And I appreciate it.
When you're in a pinch.
I couldn't hold my laugh any longer. I really tried. I didn't want to interrupt you singing, but it's just, I'm getting flashbacks of the duct tape on Yuki's wing.
They were, like, frantically pulling it out, like, slapping it on there. It was comical.
It's so good. I can only imagine what was going through his head. Because I know he must have been like, what is going on?
No, he cursed on radio.
Yeah,
God.
And, like, it's Yuki, so it's very, very animated, his radio.
But I thought it was so weird, because the actual wing, I think it broke in half, like, right in the middle, because when they were showing that it wasn't opening anymore, only one side was opening, and, like, the other side stayed shut. I don't know how that would have happened, because it's all, like, one piece.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So they decided to just tape it shut and said, sorry, Yuki, no DRS.
I wonder if it just, like, had a crack in it, and that's what happened. But honestly, for having no DRS and the tape on the back of his car, he didn't even finish last. So
yeah, Yuki really is driving very well this season. I think last season a lot of people had their doubts. They're like, oh, how did they give him a contract for XYZ year, blah blah blah. But he's really showing up this year. I'm really happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
He really, really is. I'm proud of him. All right, Liv, I feel like you need to talk about the no fighting.
Yes, we need a Shakira feature in this.
Shakira,
so that we can put her song for our promo.
Yes, so if anyone has been an F1 fan for a while, you might remember Baku in 2018. I was going to say back to 2018, but then I said Baku in 2018. I don't know what I'm saying. You might remember Baku 2018, where we saw Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo do their infamous crash. I can't remember who crashed into who.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
What do you mean?
I know this is critical information, but I can't remember. I never remember the order. Who crashed into who?
Danny crashed into Max, but because it was Max's fault, he moved twice under braking that.
Okay.
And then he got away with it.
Okay, thank you. So, Daniel Ricciardo
You're welcome.
Crashed into the backs
into the Baku of Max
into the
Verstappen.
Baku of Max Verstappen. And Red Bull didn't like that, of course. It's one thing if you crash into another driver from another team, but your team does not want you to crash into your own teammate. So that was very bad. And we saw a similar event happen this year on the track with, again, Max Verstappen, but this time Sergio Perez. And they were getting orders over the radio saying, no fighting. Christian Horner was probably sweating because he didn't want them to crash. So yeah, it brought back some good memories for people who remember Baku 2018.
Really, really, really wish they would have put the camera on Christian's face when that was happening.
Oh.
Because I just know that man was having war flashbacks and not in a good way.
Like Christian and Marco and Jos. I just wanted to see their faces. I was holding a napkin for them, be like, let me just dab the sweat off your foreheads.
But they didn't crash.
They didn't crash because, like, Perez was told no fighting, a la Shakira, and he didn't fight. Because if you see the part where Max overtook Perez, Perez didn't put up a fight. He just let him go.
They were switching at one point during the race, weren't they?
I think that might have been the switch for the lead, maybe.
Here's the thing. I don't understand why Red Bull just doesn't have, like, a blanket no fighting policy between those two. You would think that it would probably be a good idea for every team to have that between their drivers.
Like, when you say no fighting, do you mean, like, no racing each other at all? Or, like, just don't crash into your teammate?
I would think don't crash into your teammate.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that's a given.
I mean, in this sport, nothing is a given. So I just have to ask everything twice.
I don't think it's a given. I think sometimes... Wouldn't you want to crash into your teammate a little bit? Like, did something that really...
When? Oh, Raych. Oh, this is interesting. This is like a soap opera. Okay.
I told you, I'm all about the drama. Yeah, we gotta talk about McLaren.
I've got one. Let me take that over because I've got so many thoughts. Okay. First of all, stop the Lando hate. I don't think Lando particularly was at fault, except for one radio message that I'll get to. I think McLaren is the one that royally, excuse the language, f***ed up. If you have a faster car, I don't understand why you wouldn't let that car, or why you wouldn't give that car an opportunity to attack another car, because that's basically what happened to Danny Rick's first stint when he was on the harder tires, because it's a warm race. Your harder tires are faster and your medium tires just deteriorate really, really quickly. So when he was on the hard tire, he came on the radio several times and very nicely and very diplomatically. I think anyone who watches the sport knows that Danny Rick is a very nice guy over the radio. He's a nice guy in general, but even over the radio, he has excellent manners. And he just said when he was racing Lando, he was first told, don't race Lando, or I think he was actually told, hold position. And then the next few laps, Danny said on his radio about Lando that if this is his pace, I've got more. He never said, let me through. He never said, you need to let me through, or I have to go, blah, blah, blah. Like, he wasn't bitching. He was just genuinely saying that I've got more pace. He was never, like, in that first stint, I genuinely don't understand why McLaren didn't give him the chance to fight with Alonso. Like, do you guys understand why that happened? Because I don't. Like, when you've got more pace, why would you hold that car back? Like, what kind of a strategy is that? Even after 2 weeks, I was trying to go through the physics and the math and the engineering of it, and I'm just like, No, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you've got pace, you let that one attempt an attack at least. Like, you let it attempt at least once. But by the time they let him through, like, they didn't let him through. Lando pitted, and that's why Danny Rick had that open air to try and attack Alonso, and by that time his tires were shot. They were in race condition, but they were not in attack condition. And then the second stint, when Lando was on the hards, obviously he had more pace, but then he was behind Danny Rick. And then by the time he caught up to Danny Rick, there were like 3 laps remaining, and there was no chance for him to properly attack Alonso in 3 laps or so. So unfortunately, then Lando got told to hold position, and then he asked why, which I think just created a social media. Oh, I don't know how to put it. Like, he was being bullied left, right, and center. And I will admit, there was a part of me that did dislike him for that. But then when I sat back, I realized that he's in the heat of the moment. You know, you want to finish ahead of you. If you have the pace, you want to be allowed to race, and you want to finish ahead of whoever it is in front of you. But I think it's the team that messed both of them up, because clearly this discussion wasn't covered before the race, which it should have. Like, it should have been discussed. And yeah, I think they, like, Danny Rick at least could have challenged Alonso in the beginning. And then if he was able to challenge Alonso and he was able to make up places in the beginning, I think he would have finished P5, P6 easily. But with this, whatever the strategy was, they not only, I guess, created a rift between 2 amazing teammates, but yeah, their strategy made no sense to me. When you have more pace, you let that car attack. And you also have these team discussions before the race. You shouldn't have to have your driver ask you why. Like, that shouldn't happen. Your team management is lacking internally. Okay, I went on a monologue, but I hope I hope I touched all the points. Don't hate Lando, hate the team. That's about it.
I know I heard from Lando, I think in one of the post-race interviews, that he thought ultimately the team orders were fair, and that I believe the reason why they weren't confident in going past is because the McLaren wasn't as fast in a straight line as the Alpine. So it kind of seemed like they weren't confident that they were going to make a move happen. And I think also, it was probably in one of the post-race interviews as well, Andreas said that team strategy had been discussed, so they have been prepared for situations like this and to expect something like this to happen. So I think in a way they knew that this would be a possibility at some point. But like you're saying, in the heat of the moment, when they think they can do it and make it work, it is frustrating when you're having to have those conversations over the radio.
I understand and whatever Andreas said in his interview, and I also understand the heat of the moment thing, but that's what I mean. I mean, as a driver, if you're so frustrated about not understanding the strategy, it means that there must have been something that wasn't fully covered in like team briefings before the race. But also, even if you're not fast enough to, I guess, challenge an Alpine, like, let them race freely. That's what I mean. Because without that, they sacrificed both Lando and Danny. Both of them were compromised. Because if Danny was allowed to race at the first stint, he would have been farther ahead. And if Lando was allowed to race in the second stint, he also would have been farther ahead. And who knows how it would have turned out. Like, maybe they wouldn't be battling each other. Ultimately, maybe they would be battling someone higher up the ranks. And that's what bothers me.
Yeah, it did seem like McLaren's team orders was kind of showing that they were maybe being a bit too cautious in their strategy. So I think I agree. They should have loosened up a little bit and at least allowed them to fight for it a little bit. Like, they really weren't allowed to fight at all, because they were saying, just stay where you are. We're not going to risk it. But I think taking that risk, like you said, could have led them to a different result than what we got, which wasn't terrible, but there was that opportunity to fight for a higher position for either driver.
And like, holding position towards the end of the race, that kind of makes sense because you're so tight on time that the chances of an overtake are very little, versus attacking or racing at the very beginning of the race where you've got like 50, 60 laps to go. So as an audience, it just really rubbed us the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think even with your strategy, you got to have an element of flexibility there. Like, if the strategy that you had agreed on and decided on isn't what you get during the race. I don't know. I think it takes a flexibility, a loosey-gooseness to be like, yeah, this is not working, let's switch it up. And seeing what's happening and understanding. Like, if Lando's saying, like, oh, like, if he clearly doesn't have the pace, I don't understand really keeping him in front. But if at the same time, you don't know if you're going to be able to catch another car, like, just let him go for it. Like, I don't think either Danny or Lando would put themselves in a position to, like, compromise the car trying to go after something if they know they can't do it. I mean, I don't think Danny wants a repeat of a crash in Baku.
Oh,
like,
I think he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, I think he's learned his lesson. I think it'll be just let him go for it. If he's like, yeah, I can do it, I don't know, believe in him. The rest of us do. I don't think Lando deserves to get hate for it because, I mean, he thought that he was doing the best thing for him, and I get that. But I also don't think that, like, what McLaren decided on was maybe the best thing for them. But then again, I don't work for them. I don't know. As an outside perspective watching it, like, I watched the same race that they watched, just minus, like, a lot of the data. But, like, it didn't look good from where I was watching, so I don't know how they would have missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, I will own up to my own thoughts and opinions, which is that initially on that day of the race, I was furious at Lando. I was like, why is he asking why he's being asked to hold position at the end of the race? Like, why is this kid so arrogant? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, one, you're in the heat of the moment, so you want to race. Secondly, it probably also means that the team never really explained it to him because, like, he's a new driver. I understand that, but you also have to understand that these teams, they talk and they discuss a lot of things before, during, and after a race. So if that told me anything, it just meant that, okay, yeah, he's probably not been explicitly told what to and what not to expect. And thirdly, like, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the reason that he said that is because he was actually placed in that position due to, like, a horrible strategy. The strategy wasn't right, and you don't want to get over by it. You truly don't. And also, listening to his interviews before the Canadian race, he was asked about Baku, and I think he mentioned that there were team orders at play, but I think 8th and 9th were the best that we could do. We had a discussion after the race, and he seemed like they had a proper talk after the race, and he understood why what was done that way. He acknowledged that Danny held position in the first stint, and so he was returning the favor at the end, like in the second stint. He didn't really acknowledge this during any of his interviews post-race, like after Baku. But he mentioned this before the Canadian Grand Prix. Like, you know how they do, like, the pre-race interviews, like, on Thursdays on Media Day? He mentioned this, so I think he understood what happened and why it happened. And, yeah, I think he's redeemed himself in my eyes and just solidified the idea that he was just fun. And Danny was also fun. Team strategy. So, yeah, I understand their perspective now.
So, results are next. Obviously, our boy Maxi Verstappen won.
Maxi Verstappen.
Yeah, Maxi Verstappen, he won. It was a good race for him in Checo. And my favorite little android man, George Russell, on the podium. Again, he's doing great. He really has been super consistent this season. I'm loving it. George on the podium again. And then Lewis was up there too.
Lewis got driver of the day. Thank God. He needed to be recognized for his back pain above anything else. If anything, I don't think I voted, but if anything, I would have voted for him just for that.
I don't think I voted for him. I voted for Pierre because Pierre had a great race.
Yeah, P5.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre Gasly with the 6 and Gasly has moved up. I'm proud of him. And then Seb also did great, even though he, like, spun at the beginning.
He did a donut for the fans. Come on.
Yeah, he actually did that on purpose.
Yeah. We asked for it and he delivered. I, like, sent him a text. I said, hey, Seb, I'm kind of hungry. And then he just made a donut.
Yeah. He just did a little spinny spin. And then I guess we need to talk about the other end of the spectrum too. The 5
DNFs. We had 5 DNFs in Miami too.
That's a lot of DNFs.
That is a lot. And a lot of Ferrari engines.
Yes.
And the entire Ferrari team.
Why are you laughing?
Yeah. Watching them just like pack up and leave, so fun.
They did pack up and leave immediately, but it's funny how Charles still missed his flight to Montreal. Like, that man can never be on schedule for anything. Like, you left early and you still missed the flight. Dude.
It's like he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he is.
Okay, but yes, Ferrari left right away because they literally had nothing going for them anymore.
No.
Their entire team was out. They said, all right, let's go to Canada. Packed
They
up and
called
left.
it a day.
They called it a day in the style of Danny and Lando. Other Ferrari engines that failed, we had Kevin Magnussen, Zhou as well.
Yeah.
Can I just spare a minute for Zhou? He has had so many DNFs so far in his first season. So this is his third DNF in the last 4 races. So he was out in Miami, Spain, and Baku. I think that was it. Despite that, he's been doing really, really well. I think especially the last 2 races, I've been really impressed, like, seeing him doing well.
I mean, he's got a great car underneath him, so that's like 50% of the battle, but the other 50% is him. And seeing a rookie really deliver it's beautiful. I mean, I personally didn't have much hope for him because I was like, he came second in like F2. Oscar won. He should have had the seat. That's another discussion. So I was kind of like a little bit salty. I was like, not another paid driver, but you know, he is warming up to me. He is proving his worth, and I like that.
He's been doing great, and he shows up and he's got his little fits in the paddock.
I love his style. Oh, I love it.
He's doing great. I'm proud of him. I just want him to not DNF.
I mean, you should really send that message to Ferrari because they're at fault for that. It's not poor Joe. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, like, it's not his fault, and he's doing so well. So to have that happen so many times, it's just really discouraging, probably.
At Ferrari, fix yourself before you wreck yourself, please. I beg thee.
And then we had Lance. He had some kind of engine issue right at the end. I don't even think I saw it, but he also retired.
I didn't even know
ultimately.
until like half an hour ago when I was reading through our notes, and I was like, what? Lance DNF'd? I don't even think the directors highlighted it that much, which is why I just slipped past.
It must have been like right at the end. Because I don't remember seeing it. But then again, it was very early, so who knows? Do we get our S's?
Another one was Checo. Or S for Sergio Perez, to be more precise. My whole reason for him really standing out to me in the last, well, probably for the entire season so far, is that he is really showing what he can do. Do we think that he could have a shot at the championship title? Because he's doing so well. He's currently running in 2nd place. And he's really pushing Max, I think, in a lot of ways, too.
I don't know. Here's my 2 cents on it. I don't think that at this point in time, Red Bull would would tell Max not to race him. And I think that's going to be the thing. Like, I don't think he has a shot at the championship because of Max. But, like, if something were to happen to Max's car consistently, and Checo just, like, happened to be doing better, and he got further ahead, and they didn't think Max could catch up, then yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I think it's very dependent on his teammate and his team.
I think you're right. And I don't love it. Like, I understand there's always going to be that dynamic where someone's always the preferred driver or the better driver, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But I don't know. I think he's really got something.
I think he does too. But then again, do you really have something if you're not going to get the chance to, like, nurture it?
Well, that's the thing.
So Canada. Yeah?
Canada!
Yes!
Yay!
Yay!
We have
our time to shine.
We have 2 Canadian residents on the podcast today.
Yep.
Very proud.
I'm excited.
I was so excited. Leading up to the Canada GP, I wasn't even there, okay? I don't even live in Montreal. I was just so excited for it to happen. Maybe because this was my first time actually watching it, but I don't know. Just the energy was so great. Even like seeing on social media, like people there and around the track, the vibes were just too good. I could feel it all the way from here.
There's something about a home race that just hits different.
And it was a really good race weekend, too.
It was a really good race weekend.
Just felt like tingly. I was like, these people are in my country. Like, they're here. And like, I am here. And we're all here. So I felt really buzzed. And I was smiling like a loon the whole time.
Arshee was at the Montreal Grand Prix. Just so everybody knows. It wasn't planned, but she got there.
It was the wildest weekend of my life. Not wild in the sense that, I was like drunk and partying. No, wild in the sense that things just kept happening that I did not expect at all. Not even like 0.1%. I was out and about on Saturday, and this was, I believe, an hour after quali, and I needed to get racers, and my friend needed to get a bottle of water. So we walk into Pharmaprix, which is, I guess, our equivalent of like a Duane Reade or any sort of drugstore. And we're walking around, and out of nowhere, I swear to God, I see this super tall, extremely skinny, like just totally beautiful human being walk by me, and it takes me like half a second to realize, holy crap, that's Sandy, that's Latifi's girlfriend, like in the same store as me, like close to me. Holy hell. So I'm there with 3 friends, right? 2 of them were a couple, and then it was the other friend, and then it was me, so 4 of us. So I told the couple, I was like, guys, I'm gonna do something really embarrassing, so you guys can go ahead, and the other friend can stick around because I need her to do this embarrassing thing for me. So the couple went downstairs, and I tell her, I was like, listen, that is the model and lawyer girlfriend of Nicholas Latifi. He's a Canadian racer. He's from Toronto, and I want to take a picture with her. And she's like, all right, fine, do your thing. And after like a couple of minutes, Sandy passes me again, and I'm just like, I think I lost my voice. And I was like, Sandy, and she turns, and like she's smiling, and I was like, can I please take a picture with you? And that was my voice. I wasn't loud or anything. I couldn't be, because I was just like collapsing under my own gravity like a little black hole. And I swear, she smiled so big, it felt like Danny Raych. and her voice was so high pitched, and she's like, absolutely, of course you can. And then she gave me like a side hug for like the picture, and I swear, it was such a nice, tight hug. I felt like my mom was there. Because sometimes a lot of people, like, they do, like, the fake hug for, like, a picture. But, like, Sandy, like, really went in. And I was like, oh, my God, you're so sweet. I was, like, dying. Anyways, the picture got taken. And then after that, I was like, I hope you're enjoying Montreal. And she's like, I really am. Like, I'm loving it here so far. And, yeah, I posted about it on my story. And then she reposted it. And then I DM'd her the next day. I was like, thanks for posting it. And then I was like, I hope you're enjoying it. And she's like, I am. I'm just not really enjoying the weather. And I apologized for the weather. I really did, because it was crap. It was too cold. It was too wet. I don't know what was happening. But yeah, that was how I met Sandy. So that was Saturday after quali. And then I wasn't supposed to go to the race. I was just visiting Montreal for like the weekend vibe and just, absorbing everything F1 in a city that really gets into the spirit during that weekend at least. And my friends, they drove in from the States. They were supposed to go to the race, but unfortunately they tested positive. So she's like, just take my tickets and go. And this was Sunday morning at 11. The race starts at 2. And so when I got told at 11, she gave me 2 tickets because it was her and her husband who couldn't go. So I'm like, okay, great. Now I got to find someone to go with me because I'm not going to go alone to a race. Took me like 15-20 minutes to like text a friend in Montreal, be like, listen, I gotta go to the race, you want to come with me? And she's like, I'm at the library, I'm studying, but I'll meet you at 15 minutes at the train station.
I love that. Ditch school,
go to a race, priorities.
That's
so
energy.
I remember getting ready at an hour, put some food in my mouth, packed my bag, took an Uber to the station, and then the train to the track. There were so many people. It was wild. And like when I say wild, that's what I mean. Like it's just people everywhere. I had never seen so many people in one space. And especially in COVID times, even crazier. So these fans are hardcore, man. You know how people say when they go to the race and they're like, the sound of the car, the sound of the car. I've been hearing this for like the last year, ever since I got into F1, people describing the sound of the car. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's just like a car. And I was like, it's very loud. Yeah, cool. I swear, TVs, videos, nothing compares to the real thing. When you're on track and these cars are going by, the sound is loud and it's sharp, but it's weirdly addictive. Like, I took earplugs with me because I was told that, you don't want to listen to this for 2 hours on repeat. I had my earplugs in for 10 minutes and then I took them off. I was like, I want to hear this. It's so good. Like, my ears hurt a little bit afterwards. I knew that would happen, but I couldn't stop listening to it. And I've been to MotoGP races before, and Formula One is like on another level. Nothing compares to it at all. I mean, I know I sound cheesy as hell, but we all have to go to a race to really experience this insane, like, beastly but beautiful sound of Formula One cars. It's amazing. And also, I love the fact that I was like a few meters away from Danny Rick every time he whooshed past, because I was GA, right? So I was right behind those metal fences, and I was like, oh, that's him! Oh, he's so close! Like, what if I just like jumped over the fence? I mean, I would die. No. It's dangerous as hell, but I'm like, that's a risk I'm willing to take.
No.
Yeah, we
Canada.
got more drama to talk about.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, let's get into the drama of Canada.
Where do we start? I think maybe we start with the off-track stuff. As some of you guys may know, there have been a lot of rumors about who is going to be where next season. Silly season has already started. I'm sure we're all super looking forward to it. I'm not loving it. There are rumors going around right now that Nicholas Latifi is not going to be at Williams next year, and that Oscar Piastri may be taking his seat, and it may be happening before the end of the season. I personally don't think that there's going to be a mid-season swap up with his seat at Williams. He's not as bad as everybody seems to be like making it out to be. He hasn't crashed other than those first couple of races. He didn't finish last in Canada, and he's doing okay. But a lot of people think that Oscar Piastri is going to take the seat. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't have a take, to be honest, because I haven't really been following this too much, but I think I agree it would be really weird. I mean, again, I don't really know how the dynamic works with this type of thing, but I also think it would be kind of weird if they made a swap this early in the season. I understand the speculation, I understand the reasoning behind all of it, but I also think it would be a little bit strange.
Yeah, I think the last rumors I heard were that it was going to be at Silverstone, but I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. He's supposed to do some kind of pop-up meet for Williams at the beginning of the week, so I don't think he's losing his seat this week.
I don't think he's losing his seat this season, period. Red Bull were the last ones to do this sort of mid-season swap back in 2019 with Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon, and judging by the way that sort of created the most negative media attention for Red Bull, I don't think Williams will risk that, especially now that they know there's a lot more eyes watching the sport, this year at least. I don't think they're going to risk a sort of media, let's say, storm because of something like this. I think truly Latifi is staying this season, because if he wasn't, there would have been an announcement by now. What's going to happen next season for him, I don't know. And I also hate these sort of rumors because I like to go by the facts. If someone has a contract until the end of 2023, then I choose to believe that because that's in the contract, that's on paper. It would have to be something extremely catastrophic for that to change. And 2019 Red Bull, the extreme catastrophe that caused that change was because Red Bull was just putting way too much pressure on Pierre, and there was a lot of media speculation on that, versus the amount of speculation that we're getting for Latifi doesn't even compare. So, no, I'm someone who only believes in the cold, hard facts. I rarely pay attention to these rumors, and I don't want to give them any sort of validation by acknowledging them. So, in my eyes, he's here till the end of the season, no matter what these rumor mills say.
I agree with that. I think the only thing that we could see would be, like, if a junior team did a swap, like Red Bull and AlphaTauri. But I don't think...
No, they're comfortable.
Like, Williams has nobody to swap with, so why would they swap?
Yeah, not this season. Like, this season is locked and loaded. What's going to happen next season, I don't know that.
Yeah, he may not be racing next season. I guess that's the nature of the game, but, like, mid-season, I don't know. I don't see it happening. I just don't. I mean, to be blunt about it, like, the Williams isn't that good anyway. And so, like, even if you're new in it, you're not guaranteed immediate results overnight. Like, it's not going to magically change the car.
And also, despite what everyone says, or despite what even the William, I think what's, like, CEO, or, yeah, the CEO, whatever he says, oh, we don't need paid drivers. That's a big, chunky, chubby, fat lie, okay? Every team wants as much money as possible. And whether you agree or not, Latifi's dad being a billionaire is definitely helping the situation. I know there's budget caps, but this sport isn't innocent. There's so many loopholes in these rules and negotiations that we don't know as the audience. So I would say don't be so naive to believe that Williams truly doesn't need the money. They do, and they're going to figure out a way.
I mean, that may be a different story for, like, next year. They may have different sponsors lined up.
Yeah.
I don't see them cutting out both Sofina and Lavazza mid-season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not mid-season. Absolutely not.
Those are your two huge sponsors. One is on your rear wing. You're not going to mid-season? No. You're not going to make them angry.
Absolutely not.
Fernando Alonso finished qualifying on the front row. He got P2, and that was his first time finishing on the front row in qualifying since the 2012 German Grand Prix. So it's been a minute. I think a lot of people saw that coming because I remember watching the practice and the commentators were talking about specifically him and I think Seb talking about like drivers from the older generation and how they were really excelling, and particularly Alonso excelling in the wet conditions. So they saw it coming, and I'm glad he got it.
A lot of people are saying that he's too old, he should retire from the race. I understand the perspective of him being old, but you can't deny this guy is driving his heart out on track. I mean, personally, for me, age and whatever else doesn't really matter. If you're performing on track, then you're performing on track. For me, it's only the on-track performance that matters. I don't really care about any other stats. He has been outperforming that damn Alpine this whole season. The fact that he's on the front row, the fact that he's he's giving Lewis a run for his money, honestly, that's just, it's so much fun just watching him on track. I think people forget that because he had been in a very underperforming McLaren right before his pseudo-retirement, I guess. But he's got it. He's a brilliant driver. And also, I forgot to mention this during the Baku discussion, but he is a top-tier houser on track. Because in Baku, in the first stint, he was being attacked by Lando. And in the second stint, he was being attacked by Danny because Danny was in front of Lando. And I heard that Alonso came on the radio towards the end of the Baku race and he said, oh, something's wrong with the car or something. Basically, he was saying that so that McLaren would hear it and they would ask the McLarens to push more. But Alonso knows that McLaren isn't faster than the Alpine. He was saying this to f with them because right after that, he picked up the pace and he ran. He just wanted to like give them false hope that they could race him. But then he knows that they can't. So I don't know. He was just fucking with them then. And then even in Canada, we saw the way that he was racing with Lewis and with Max. It was brilliant. It was amazing to watch that. Genuinely, I think, despite the age, I think he should stay just purely on performance.
I think he's been chomping at the bit for a while to, like, create some chaos. I mean, we've all seen his DRS chains the past.
I was gonna say, he's doing so well that he's preventing other people from doing well because they all just get stuck behind him.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one of the only drivers who could actually do that. I feel like other people would be like, no, I need to race and not focus on that, but rather he's focusing on, like, holding people up. And
just that.
I mean, because he started out in Canada, I thought, I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting him to be, like, chomping
on the podium?
Yeah, like, ready to, like, overtake Max, and no, he just, like, lets Max through, lets Carlos through, and then, like, it gets to Lewis, and he's like, oh, wait, no, I want to hold him up. I think it's so funny.
He's so sassy on track, eh? It's just... but like in the most skillful way, you know? He doesn't really do it to be negative. He just does it because he can.
Oh, another thing that made me laugh was in Q3 with George. I think it was raining throughout the entire qualifying, so really nobody was getting off the wet tires. But then in Q3, they're like, you know what? We're going to try something different. So they put George out on slicks when it's still raining. And as this was happening, the commentators are talking about it and they're like, oh, that looks like a risky move. They're putting George on slicks. Like, I can't see him getting past that first corner because that corner is where there was a giant puddle. So he comes out of the pits and he immediately slides off the track right where they said it was going to happen. I'm like, that is too funny.
The timing, eh?
It was hilarious. Oh my God. And they're like, yeah, no, that's not going to work.
Some of these F1 teams just like need a little bit of logic sometimes because they're lacking that. And they've got these engineers, like masters and PhDs in their garage, and then they're putting why would they put a slick on?
I don't know. They really thought they were doing something, but he just like, it was like as soon as he left, he went straight off.
Did you see the same McLaren pit stop that I saw?
Oh,
no! I don't want to talk about this.
Is that not the most dramatic thing that happened the entire time?
I'm still like a little bit angry at them.
I actually cried when I watched that because like when I went back to my room and I was watching the actual race, genuinely like my heart just sunk to my stomach and I was about to barf my dinner out. It was so sad. I'll just talk a little bit about it because I noticed one thing. I don't know if you guys saw that too. It was the front right wheel. That's the one that was messed up on Danny's. Mm-hmm. And then they didn't have any tires for Lando. So as a diehard Danny Rick fan, all I could think about was, oh no, 2016 Monaco.
No, yeah.
The flashbacks, man. Oh my God. It was hard. And then poor Lando, the team, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And in the unboxed for the Montreal Grand Prix, you could just see the poor mechanics. Like, he had his head in his hand and he was just like shaking his head. Like, there was this one scene in the unboxed where the videographer, I guess, caught the moment after the pit stop and the mechanic was just so sad. Like, he was dejected because that's like his job, and whether it was his fault, whether it was the team's communication fault, I don't know, but you could definitely see that they were not happy with it. It was not their best job. And Danny Rick ended up 11th, and I was just like, he could have been in the point, singular. I won't hope too much. He could have been in the point if the pit stop worked.
Yeah, it was really looking like it was going in a good direction for him for a long time.
Just in general, I felt like the pit stops were taking a really long time during Canada. That could just be me and like focusing on how bad the McLaren was. And
no, even Ferrari had a slow pit stop for Carlos. It was sad. Like a 3.7 seconds.
They all just seem so slow. And like McLaren, if it's your job to have a tire, make sure you have your tire. Like, why would you double stack them if you're not ready to double stack? It's okay if you're not ready. Nobody's going to be upset about it. Like, if you just do one and then the next lap you do the other, that works too.
The safety car was going for so many laps. You could have bet that it would go for another lap. Just do it next time, man.
Yeah, like it wasn't going to end that quickly. Normally there were a couple of laps, right?
And also, I guess there was some sort of communication gap between the engineers and the pit crew because I guess when the engineers tell the drivers to come in, it's maybe a few seconds right before or after that the pit crew know that they have to do a pit stop. Either the gap between the engineers telling the drivers and then the engineers telling the pit crew, maybe that gap time wasn't enough for them to prep, and maybe before they could prep, the cars entered the pit and maybe they weren't aware of that. But either ways, I'm just thinking that at this point, you're a Formula One team. You know how pit stops work. How can you mess it up so monumentally? And it's not like a machinery mess up. It's a communication and timing mess up. And that seems to be the general pattern for all the McLaren mess ups. It's communication and team internals that's failing. So I'm kind of concerned as to what's going on inside that team that we as audience can't see.
Let's talk about the results. Some superstars in the race this week. Yuki, I think he was the superstar for me. He started last, and then he finished.
He DNF'd because he crashed.
He didn't finish.
Oh, oops.
He was another one that went off right after getting out of the pit lane. But
Wait, what do you mean he was another one?
George on the slicks in qualifying.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
How could you forget? I was crying.
You were crying?
I was laughing really hard.
Oh.
But he did, like, him and Charles were at the back of the race starting. Charles did great. He ended up 5th. That's a big jump.
Oh my god, the other thing, we're forgetting Haas. Haas had an excellent qualifying.
Oh my god!
And then the race.
Oh, yeah.
This underdog team. Oh my god.
I'm telling you, I've said this before. When I was watching Drive to Survive, I was convinced that Haas was my best team. Then I started watching the races, not so much. Now, oh my god. They've been doing so well. And Mick Schumacher, round of applause for Mick. Qualifying, I think that was his best qualifying, like, to date.
That was that was his best.
Highest qualifying position in P6. Amazing! Like, they did so well. And then not really in the race. It was too bad. Kevin finished last, and Mick also had a DNF. But
Kevin
honestly,
would have finished higher
good.
though, because I think he had that little tussle with Hamilton, messed up his front wing, had to pit, and then. But I just mean it was such a turn of events for Haas. It was such a high and then such a low, like the highest of highs and then the lowest of lows. It was within the span of like 24 hours. Oof.
I know. I think they really could have like both been in the top 10 at least. It would have been really great.
But I think something that we can learn from this is that the Haas is good in the rain. So
yeah,
maybe a potential future wet race will bring back.
But no, that's a good point. I would like to see Haas do well in another wet race.
Medium wet, please. Not
medium wet.
We're gonna end up having another wet race. Like we just are. Unfortunate, but like it's gonna happen. I just don't know when it's gonna happen. But when it does, I would like to see them do well. Who won the race?
Maxi!
Maxi did.
It was also Max's first win in Canada. That's a fun fact.
Yes, that is a fun fact.
Yeah. Started from pole. First pole in Canada and then first win in Canada. So that was sweet.
Carlos came P2, and
Lord, Carlos
I'm so sad because
I'm not sad. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time because he was so close to Max. I was like, oh, he's gonna do it. Oh, he's gonna do it. Dude, like he was so close, and especially like the last, I want to say 15 laps, it was intense. He was like 5/10 off, 7/10 off, 6/10 off. Like my heart was going. I thought I was gonna die.
Super, super close. I really think like any day now he's gonna win for sure.
I was just waiting for him to like make his move.
I know.
Last however many laps, and I kept saying to like the people that I was watching with, I was like, is he holding off because he knows that he can't hold it from Max, or can he just not overtake him? And I guess the answer was he couldn't do it. But I was rooting for him so bad. I wanted him to win.
Yeah.
I would like a Carlos win. I think we all deserve that. We deserve to see the smooth operator, the Chili, on the podium. He won on the podium. It's going to be a great day. Nobody's going to be mad about it because Carlos will have won. Also, I guess a surprise for us all, we got Sir Lulu back on the podium.
Yay!
I've kind of missed seeing him on the podium.
I didn't. I mean, I'm not. No, I don't mean it like in a bad way. I just mean I liked seeing other people up there.
You liked seeing fresh blood up on the podium.
Exactly. No hate to Lewis at all. I mean, I'm surprised he could even get up there with his back pain. But
oh my god, you had the back pain.
It would have sent
some Bengay over to him, just like in a box, just to Lewis Hamilton.
No, I felt bad. I mean, I know he's better now, but no, good for him. Like he did a good job.
Every once in a while, I like seeing him on the podium because
Every once in a while, not every weekend.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Every once in a while, having Lewis back out there, we're like, is he almost back? Then there's like a little bit of like a nervous tremor going through me, like, oh no,
for sure.
Oh no, Mercedes is back. And then hopefully next weekend, Mercedes is not back.
I don't know. I like seeing Lewis in P3. He just looks so genuinely happy to be there.
He looked humbled.
P3. I like seeing him truly being happy because I feel like last season we lost a lot of that because, like, yeah, he was happy to win. But it's not the same when you're chasing after something so much bigger. And now he's even said it himself. He's like, I don't think we're going to win any races. Like, you can genuinely tell that he is really pleased with himself. And I think he deserves that every once in a while. Another, like, results thing that we need to talk about. We need to talk about Fernando and his penalty.
I'm sorry. When I heard that, I lost my shit. I was like, no, he did not get a penalty. No, he didn't.
He got a 5-second penalty for weaving on the straight, but I'm not entirely sure if the instance of him weaving was him trying to hold off the people behind him, or if it was just him doing it on his own. Doing it to, like, hold up the people behind him, that makes it even funnier. Fernando officially P9, even though he finished P7. And then to round out the top 10, we had Canada's own, Montreal's own Lance Stroll. His first little points in Montreal.
Point.
Singular.
His point in Montreal. I'm really proud of him.
Great defending.
He did.
I remember there was a while where Joe was complaining over the radio that he wasn't fast enough and he couldn't get past Lance. I feel like 50% of the race was just Esteban footage. Because, like, all I saw for the longest time was just, like, Esteban fighting Charles. That was it. It went on for so long. Oh my god. But yeah, that went on for a long time.
Really? Like,
yes.
They covered that footage for a bit. Oh, wow.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
like
half of the race was just that. It was going on so long because Charles was trying so hard to get past him, but he had, like, older tires, so he was just losing pace every single lap, so it wasn't happening. But the camera guy was like, maybe it's going to happen this lap, but it just wasn't happening. They had way too much hope.
But he did get past him eventually.
He did.
Eventually.
From P19 to P5.
That was a drive and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he ate a lot of poutine after that race.
I guess the only thing that's left is, like, Arshee, do you have any major thoughts coming out of actually being there?
It definitely is an experience that I cannot compare to anything else. I highly recommend everyone going. And if you're afraid of getting, like, GA tickets and thinking, oh, I don't have a seat, fear not. I only had 1 hour preparation. That's why I was kind of unprepared. But if I was someone planning months and months in ahead, I would have packed. So with GA, general admission, you have basically access to the grass and, like, the forest area that's right next to the border of the track. So you don't get seats. You kind of have to just make your own way. So I would say if you're getting general admission, it's good bang for your buck. Just go a bit early, maybe like 2 hours early. Take those foldable chairs, the ones that you take to, like, soccer games. Pack a couple of those. Get, like, a nice picnic blanket. Get some food with you. They let you take food in there. Non-alcoholic. If you want to take any alcohol, they won't allow that. You have to buy it on premise, but you can take non-alcoholic drinks with you. You can take, like, sandwiches and stuff. I would say general admission was worth it. I was kind of scared because I was reading blogs and they were saying that, oh, it's a very flat track, so you won't be able to see. But there were a lot of good vantage points where we had a bit of a slope, so I could see from the top. But would I do general admission next year again? Probably not. I'm not complaining because I got these tickets for free, right? So I took every opportunity that I could. But given the choice, I would maybe pick a seat in the hairpin grandstands because they had a beautiful view. And you get to see the cars, like, slowing down and then speeding back up. Maybe something close to the Wall of Champions because you might see a crash or two. Yeah, my only suggestion is plan. Like, don't leave it to the last minute. Plan your tickets, your race tickets, your flight tickets, your hotel, and you're bound to have a great time. It is genuinely worth it. You will never feel that you overspent at a Grand Prix weekend because they make it completely worth it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed our conversation as well as Arshee's inside scoop on the Canadian Grand Prix. Be sure to follow us on social media at Drag Reduction Sisters, and we'll see you next time.
Bye and au revoir.
Bye!